Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of Faith Over Fear podcast. So Crystal, now that this week that we are posting it, it's going to be the week of Christmas. What are your plans for Christmas?
So we're planning to get together, I think at like my uncle's house.
Okay.
And we're gonna do like white elephant.
Oh,
Yeah,
that's
we've
fun.
been there's a whole group chat and
Yeah.
they don't stop texting on there. But yeah, that's the plan. My mom's gonna make tamales and then one of my tias is gonna make menudo and there's gonna be like a whole buffet.
Yeah.
But yeah, we're gonna be spending it with all the family. It's a really big family.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's so cool.
Yeah. What about you?
So we're still deciding. So I think we might go to Tennessee for Christmas, or my family might come, but most likely we'll go over there. But yeah, we usually do tamales, we do pozole, just like you said, like a whole buffet.
Mm-hmm.
And my uncle, he always like organized these games that involve money. So last year I think I won like $80. So it was so it's pretty fun games.
You need to
Yeah.
teach me some of those games.
Yeah, I know. But whenever you were saying about how you're gonna do white elephant, I was like, oh, hopefully there's no bites, because white elephant could be a little
Yeah, true. We're gonna separate the girls and the guys,
okay.
so the girls can buy girly gifts and the guys can buy.
That's cute. Yeah, that's better, because like I remember I went to a Christmas party from my job and we were doing white elephant, and one of my coworkers
There's no way.
scratch that. I'm not gonna keep
Why?
it. Well, when
Leave it.
and it's not even that funny, so I don't know why I'm doing all this show. It's because I'm thinking her reaction in my mind. So she opened the present and it was a screwdriver, like a hammer and all this. So that's why, like, it's because like we were told like buy for something for a male and female, and this person bought something fully for a guy. Yeah.
She was probably all excited.
Yeah, she was. She opened and she was like, "Oh, okay, cool, thank you."
That's funny.
So yeah, so that's a good idea. Yeah.
Once I did white elephant at my friend's house.
Mm-hmm.
And it was my first time ever doing white elephant. And I literally won some like Pioneer Woman like spoons and like these. I was like, thanks. I gave them to my mom, but it was just kind of like, because my gift was so good. And then that's what I got. And I was
that's
like,
how it usually happens. You get something really cool and then you receive something where you're like, okay, it was the thought that counted, I guess.
Yeah, so that's why we're separating.
Okay, that's good. No, that's good. No, we do Secret Santa in my family. So it's funny because last year my brother got me, but since my brother's not really much into like buying gifts, I got to choose my own gift, so that was pretty cool. But yeah, so that's something we're gonna do this year as well. But it is a disclaimer, since we are posting after Christmas, we're gonna be posting on the 26th, so we're recording 2 weeks before that. So yeah, that's gonna be our plans for this Christmas, and I hope everyone has a very great Christmas and gets to spend it with their loved ones.
Yes.
I feel like, whenever it comes to Christmas, it can be a little bit hard because, you go to the stores, you go to the mall, and it's like so busy, having to think about gifts, having to do, decorate your place, having to do so much. Because I feel like Christmas is one of my favorite times, but it can also be kind of like stressful. It can also be like a whole process, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And sometimes we want to avoid those processes, but if you avoid it, you won't be able to enjoy it, because like it comes to the cooking, the decorating, getting together, having to travel. But once you do all that, you get the reward of having a really great time with your family, And I feel like it's something that we can implement in our Christian life, where everything's a process.
Yes.
You know what I mean? And sometimes we try to avoid it, and by avoiding it, we don't get to go where God wants us to go. We don't get to our blessings, you know? So has there been a situation where you're like, I try avoiding it, it did not work out, and God taught me the hard way, or however you want to describe it?
There was a moment in my life where me and my sister weren't on speaking terms because I thought that she was like betraying me.
Whoa.
That's so deep. I thought that she was betraying me and we weren't speaking. And I remember that I was praying to God and I was like, this is not fair, and I was crying. And I've talked about this before, but I guess there's more details.
Yeah.
I thought she was betraying me. And I feel like I didn't want to talk to her because I felt betrayed.
Mm-hmm.
But then the moment that I did talk to her, we discovered that the enemy was trying to pin us against each other.
Right.
And if we wouldn't have communicated, that would have worked. You know?
Yeah. Yeah, because I feel like with anything, I think communication is always key.
Yeah, and I feel like if we wouldn't have communicated, we would have literally been against each other. And that's kind of insane because we're literally sisters. Like, she is my person, you know? But if I would have avoided that, like if I would have avoided the conversation, it would have just been... I can't even imagine it, like, because it lasted like almost a week. And then I was like, you know what, like, we need to talk about it. And we did. And there's a lot of times, there was another instance where things were really weird, but then the moment that we talked about things, like, it like squashes the beef, you know, it squashes the whatever's going on. It just diminishes it, you know. And I feel like it's important to have those hard conversations, you know.
Yeah, because I feel like after you choose to go through the process, I feel like it takes your relationship, you know, for example, with your sister to a different step, you know. Like, I feel like now it elevated, made y'all a little bit more closer than what y'all were beforehand, because I feel like that's what trials and tribulations do, that, you know, now speaking terms with God, like, I feel like those push you towards God, you know, if you choose to go through the process. Because, like, for example, with me, you know, I talked about it a little bit, I think it was in episode 2 of season 2, where I was, you know, going through my healing season or my healing moment. And there was moments where I chose to avoid it, and it kept on getting harder and harder, and it kept on breaking me and breaking me. And once I chose to go through the process, that's whenever it got me closer, and it got my relationship to be with God in another dimension. I got to experience it differently now, and I still am. But the thing is that whenever I went through the process, it wasn't easy. It was so hard. There was a lot of, you know, negative thoughts. There was a lot of withdrawals. There was a lot of moments where I was doubting my relationship with God. Am I even worth, you know, being able to call out to him? There was just like a lot of, you know, I guess you can say like moments, I guess you can say obstacles. But now that I got to pass through it, it's a blessing. You know, like it has shaped me, and it has like given me the experience that I have now to be able to help others, you know, because I feel like whenever you go through something, it's not in vain. It helps you as a person, and it helps you to get closer to God, but you get to bless someone else. And that's a true blessing, because for me to think about helping someone, if I get to help out and make the process a little bit easier, and for someone to know that they can have someone to trust, I feel like that's a blessing in itself, you know?
And I feel like storms are so necessary. Like, yes, they're so hard, but in the storm is when God breaks through, you know. Like, he is a God of the storm. He's in the middle, you know. And in the storm, you learn to trust God. You learn to trust him because he's the only one that's there. He's the only one that can get you out, you know. And in those moments where everything is crumbling down, like, he is there.
And also during the storms is where you get to see God's power. You get to see miracles. You get to see supernatural moments. You get to see encounters with him. And, you know, one of the most famous one is whenever Peter walked on water. It was during a storm. But just like us humans, he lost faith and he sunk down. But God's hand quickly was right there to pull him out. So that's why, like, storms are necessary, because we get to see his power. We get to feel him in a different way if we just have everything super smooth and nothing happening. And I get it, you know, as humans, you know, who would like trials, who would like tribulations, but I think it's part of life, because we live in a world where there's evil, and God, you know, he promised to be there with us, and because he knew that this was going to happen, he came down and died for us, you know what I mean? So that's why, you know, now with these processes, you know, it's something bad, but he turns it for good. You know?
And it reminds me of the previous episode where we were talking about how when you're stepping out and like going, like taking that step to follow Jesus, you know, it feels a lot like a storm. Like when the opposition starts happening, when things start to get hard, like that is the exact moment that God starts working in your life. He starts molding you, and he starts like stripping you, you know. But that's the moment, like, yes, it's hard, and it's like we wish we could avoid it, but avoiding it makes, like, if you avoid that, you don't grow well.
Yeah, and it makes also the process go longer
Yeah,
and longer.
yeah, it's like you're beating around the bush, like, and it's like, yeah, you're still showing up to church and you're doing all these things, but you're not going through that process. So it's like setting you back,
right?
You know.
Yeah.
And yeah, the storm is hard, and it's like, you know, but it's so necessary. It's so necessary.
Yeah.
Like, that's the moments that literally build you into this strong person that knows how to fight, you know.
It's kind of like working out, you know, you're working out that spiritual muscle, you know what I mean, when you go through the process, because it's like you have a goal. Whenever you go through the process, you have a goal, which is to be on the other side and to learn from it and to move on, right? And so the same thing with working out, you know, you have a goal, which is to be healthier. Maybe you want to look physically better, but you have to go through that process. And just like everything, it's a sacrifice. It can get hard, it can be discouraging, but we have the best help, which is God. We have the best tools, which is the Bible, which is prayer, which is fasting, you know. So let's take full advantage of that, and you will see how God will be able to help you through it. And once you're on the other side, you're going to be stronger, and you're going to be able to face what's next. You know, because I feel like, you know, that's what God wants. He always wants our faith to go higher, higher and higher, and to be stronger and stronger and stronger, and not just physically, but it's also the same thing with our spirit, you know.
Yeah, and I feel like sometimes we have to choose the storm.
Yeah.
Kind of like a little bit of like last week, like when we have a decision to make, like we have to decide if we're gonna do the thing that's gonna maybe cost a little, but it's gonna help you grow in Christ, or just the easy way, you know. And it's like sometimes it could be giving something up that you really love, you know, but that is keeping you from God, you know. And this is hard. It's hard because you really enjoy this. It could be a thing or a person, you know. You really enjoy this thing, and sometimes God can be like, well, this is what's hindering you. This is what's keeping you stagnant, you know. And sometimes, like, we don't choose that because we want to avoid the process, you know.
And in order to be free, you have to go through the process, because the only way out is just through. You know what I mean? And I feel like with me, like, I would say like the most common one that, you know, would be like in relationships, in terms, sometimes you feel that you need that person, that you can't move on. But once you give yourself the opportunity to see that you can live without this person, that the only person you can't live without is God, then that's whenever you will be able to move on and go on with your life. And whenever someone presents himself and then leaves, you'll be like, I'm good because I have God. And now I know that I can. Now you put yourself in a you value yourself, like you put your value even higher, because before you will have your value down here, and then once you saw like, oh, wait a second, like I don't need anybody, I just need God, or this person's not even my husband, so why should I stress over someone that's not going to be over my husband? So then, you know, that value goes up, you know. And that's what God wants. He wants us to have, you know, security. He wants us to have value in ourselves. He wants us, our identity, to be in him, you know. And that's how we'll be able to maneuver. That's how we'll be able to grow and be stronger, and be able to leave those addictions, be able to leave those toxic, you know, relationships, jobs, you know, households, whatever the situation is. You will be able to have that strength. Why? Because you're choosing God, and you're choosing to go through the process. You're choosing to go through pain, memories, having to go through voids, like, because whenever you're going through the process, it's like a cleaning phase, you know what I mean. He has to strip you down, he has to prune you to, you know, and that can be uncomfortable and that can be painful, but once you allow yourself to go through it and feel all the emotions, you will be able to value your relationship with God. You will be able to have discernment, and next time whenever something presents itself, you're like, I remember what this caused me, so I'm not going to go back. That's why you have to feel that, because that's a reminder of what to avoid for the next situation, you know?
Yes. But the longer that you avoid this process, the longer it's gonna take. Like it's like you are holding yourself back, you
Yeah.
know.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's what, like, I always pray to. I would always ask God, like help me not like avoid anything, you know. Like I'm the type of person that would rather get it all out of the way so I can get to where I need to be, you know. I'm like, let me just do it, you know. And I know that that's hard, and I know that like with those prayers comes a lot of trials, you know, but I feel like I'd rather just get it out of the way, you know. Like, mold me, you know, do what you gotta do and get me to where you need me, you know. And just hold on to his hand, like literally just keep your eyes on him. And yeah, it's just like the quicker we go through the process, the easier it is, you know, like to grow and you get further. But if you keep avoiding that process, like you're literally just making it harder on yourself.
Yeah.
You're like choosing to suffer.
Yeah.
Like longer.
Exactly. No, yeah, that's true. And just kind of like you said, whenever you were talking about, you know, telling God about like, I want to get it over with, you know, help me, prune me out. It also reminds me of my cousin that, you know, she prayed for humbleness. And, you know, whenever you pray for that, like, you know, the trials come and the, you know, the tests come, you know. So that's why, like, you know, she went through it. Whenever she asked for humbleness, you know, she, you know, kind of stripped away from what she knows to be able to go through this process, because during the process she had to react differently. She had to kind of like, how can I say, like, just, yeah, like react differently, talk differently, be differently. And that's, you know, and now she's in a different, you know, dimension with God, you know, because she humbled herself to be able to take away from what she knows, what she felt comfortable doing. And that's the same thing with us, that, you know, something that we should take in consideration, that we need to get out of our comfort zone. We need to get out what makes us comfortable, what makes us feel good, because if it's not glorifying God, if it's not pushing us towards him, then there's no point to it, you know.
Yeah. And I feel like that's really important. Like, analyze whatever it is you're struggling with right now, or you're like, if you feel like you're in a season where you're avoiding the process, like, ask yourself, is this pushing me closer to God, or is it distracting me? Is this helping my relationship with God, or is it pushing me away? You know, because, and be honest with yourself. Like, it could be like something you really like, you know, but like, be honest with yourself, you know, like, is it helping or is it not, you know? I feel like it can be really hard to be real with yourself, you know, because maybe you love this person, or you love this thing so much that you're like, I can't see myself without them. But like, are they helping? Are they truly helping? You know, like, just think about it. Like, it's hard. It's hard to say no to things that you want, but God has so much more. You know, like, it's not worth it. It's just not worth it.
Yeah, because it's like, you know, just bringing you pain. And at the end of the day, like, if you really analyze it, like, just like I mentioned, it's just really hurting you more than what it's actually giving you. You know what I mean? I feel like if it's taking more of you, is it really for you? You know what I mean? And with God, it's like the opposite. He gives you more. He's making sure, are you good? Are you okay? You know what I mean? So it's just kind of like, you know, it just kind of like analyze it, like, is this even helping me? Because like, I know that, you know, our purpose is for you guys to see God, but let's just say that, you know, for certain situations, like, start off with, you know, is this hurting me physically, you know, emotionally, and is this really like healthy? And then once you be able to take that process, you know, God is right there.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Ready to help you out, ready to make you see your value, to see who you truly are, and for, you know, the enemy to let go of that hold, for you to kind of like, sorry, because I was going to the example how we're talking about the lion and the dog, for you to finally realize that you're a lion, that you're a child of God, and to stop letting the enemy try to give you those thoughts, you know, that you're not worth this person, that you're not worth it, that, you know, there's no point for you, that this is it for you, where, so that's why like he tries to take you away for the authority to, to see you defeated. But if you kind of like, let those thoughts go and you just focus your eyes on God and just extend yourself to him, he will be able to pull you out of that and make you realize and make you see in the mirror like, whoa, I was actually aligned this whole time,
Yeah, and I feel like the process helps you see that.
Yeah.
Like once you're at the end of the storm, once you're on the other side, you're like, wow,
Yeah. Yeah.
But you have to go through that process so you can see that.
Yeah. Exactly. No.
And it's just hard. It's really, really hard. And I want to emphasize that because it's like you feel like you're not going to survive, but you do. And you come out stronger.
Yes.
Like there's light at the end of the tunnel, like literally,
And then one thing that I wanted to add is that in one of the preachings that I was hearing, where it's like, don't go back to what you asked God to save you from. You know what I mean? Because sometimes we tend to do that. Like we go back to what broke us. You know what I mean? So it's just kind of like whenever he said that, I was like, whoa, it's so true. Because like it's so easy to be like, you receive a text or you want to go to this like party or whatever the situation is. You know what I mean? Where it's like, it's so easy to go back to and just forget what you went through. But if you keep in mind like where God took you from and what it, how it broke you, then that's what helps you to avoid be like, it's true. Like, why would I go back to something that I asked God to save me from,
Yeah. And that's the thing. Like, that's when we need to be disciplined. Because if God pulled you out, like, then you have a decision to make. Like, are you going to run back or are you going to keep moving forward and fully grow,
Yeah, exactly.
I feel like when you avoid the process, you become stagnant. Like you're like stopped, And I feel like there's so many times where like if you avoid a process in your walk and you just don't go through it, like that's how people end up like just warming up a bench in the church, because you're not choosing to, you're like just showing up. You're like, okay, you can come in, God, but like to right here and then from here on, like you can't, and that's where religion comes in, and that's where the judging and the condemnation and all of that comes in, because we're not choosing to be molded. We're not choosing to grow. We're not choosing to dig deeper. We're just like staying still. And I feel like that's so scary, and I say it because it was me. Like there was just nothing,
no passion, no nothing, right?
And I feel like having passion is so important. Like you light up, you like, it's like God puts life into you, but if you choose to avoid that, then you're just like, it's just a routine, right? It's just like same old. And it's just like, I don't know, it's kind of sad, you know.
That's true, because I feel like we should always strive for like the next thing. You know what I mean? Like, but sometimes we avoid it because like we mentioned, everything's a process, and we're like, no, because there might be some drama with this, or there's going to be some money involved that I have to waste, or, you start thinking so many reasons of why not to do it. You know what I mean? But whenever you push that aside and you just kind of like focus on your goal, and then you see the end point, which is, glorifying God or receiving from God or praising God, that's whenever you will be like, okay, when is the next thing? And you start thinking higher and higher and higher, because that's what it is. We have to strive to always think big. We want to be, because the same preaching he was saying, like, you don't want to just live like a day. You don't want to be just like another person in this world. You want to be a world changer. You know what I mean? Like it has to be some like a faith that like scares you. You know what I mean? But that requires a process. Like the bigger the faith, the bigger, trials. You know what I mean? Because you're going higher and higher, and so the enemy's like, let me throw this, let me throw that. You know what I mean? But I feel like if you start now, if you start with, equipping yourself, because right now maybe you're not going through a trial, you're not going through a process, but equip yourself today, because you don't know what could happen tomorrow. Just like I had mentioned, I felt comfortable. I was like, oh, I got this, and then boom, this came out of nowhere, and you're just like, whoa, So that's why, like, keep yourself armored up, reading your be ready, and then once you pass that, once you pass through the storm, make sure that your mind also leaves the storm. Because how they were mentioning one service, how it's like sometimes we let a bird create a nest in our head, when in reality, the storm already left, but your mind is still there. So making sure that once the process is done, leave it there, leave it behind, and just like keep on moving on.
And the devil takes hold of those moments, and he wants to keep you there, so you're distracted and you're not ready. You're not looking for the next thing, because your mind is elsewhere. Your mind is distracted. And that's where he thrives. That's literally where he thrives. And that's why it's important to, like, once the storm is gone, let it go, and move on. Keep reading, keep praying, keep fasting, and stay ready for whatever is going to be thrown at you, because you'd be surprised how many things just come out of nowhere. Trials and just things that you're like, what? But it's like you have to go through it and learn and grow.
Yeah, exactly. Because just like good moments come out of nowhere, bad moments also come out of nowhere. So that's why we have to be equipped and just like ready for the next thing, because you never know what happens. But yeah, so just, keep on going. You are stronger than what you think, because that strength comes from God. Seek him, ask for help. He's right there ready to give you that help. Sometimes we need a little push. Sometimes some of us need a little bit more push than others. I know that I needed that little extra push, but God is just a loving God, and he's just so patient with us, having that love. So let's just give that back to him. You know what I mean? Let's give that back to him and just kind of like analyze and see where we are now, and making sure that whatever it is, seek him, and you will get on the other side. Nothing is too big for God.
And remember that he is your strength. Like, he's gonna be there through it all, through the process from beginning to end, and he's gonna be the one that helps you get through when life gets so difficult, when things happen that you didn't even expect would ever even happen. Hold on to him. And remember that he is with you. He's never going to leave you. He never leaves us. We're the ones that leave, but he never leaves us. So remember that. When things are really hard, remember that he's right there, right beside you. He goes before you, prepares the way.
Exactly. So with that being said, this is the end of this episode. Thank you so much for watching. Make sure to like this video, leave any comments down below, and subscribe. For audio only listeners, we do have Apple Podcasts and also Spotify. Follow us in our Instagram and TikTok. You can also send us a direct DM with any prayer requests or video suggestions. Thank you so much again for watching. We love you guys, and we'll see you next time. Bye guys.